Hello again and welcome back to PhatPhish Guitar Studio. I'm Dave, and in this video I want to talk about effects pedal order, specifically compression and overdrive. There's a whole bunch of rules, let's call them guidelines, about what order you put effects pedals in, which pedal should come before another type of effect, that sort of thing. Loads and loads of stuff to go into there, but just to keep this video manageable, I'm just going to talk about those two specific effects, compression and overdrive. If you're one of those people who goes down into the comments section and leaves loads of abuse about the fact that I'm talking, saying, oh, shut up and play the guitar, no, this is one of these videos where I talk about things because there's quite a bit of explaining to do. So if this isn't your sort of video, please feel free to leave and go and find somebody else's channel to watch. For those of you who have got an attention span and want to learn something, stick around and let's get into it. Before we get into the playing side of things, let's talk about what those effects do. Compression is about adjusting the volume of the volume range of your signal. So if you think about you've got a range of volumes from the quietest quiet all the way up to the loudest, the hardest you're picking the guitar, you've got that volume range. What a compressor does is you can apply like a maximum volume that's lower than that. So any part of your signal that's louder than the compressor's maximum setting, it just brings the volume down. So if you think you've got that much dynamic range in your volume, it brings it down and compresses it, so you've got a narrower range of volumes. It's good for evening out your playing, fills the sound out a little bit, but it doesn't affect the sound in any way. All it's doing is changing the volume. Compare that to what's happening within an overdrive pedal. Now there's loads of different types of circuit, but they all work on the same principle, that they apply gain. So your volume comes in at a certain level. It boosts the level of the signal beyond a point where the circuit, if you like, beyond a point where the circuitry can cope. So if you think about this is your signal going into a drive pedal, the gain increases. It basically makes it louder. But then in the circuitry, what it does is it clips. So rather than having your original sound form, you get like what's clipped, and that clipped signal is what gives you the distortion or the overdrive. Now there's loads of different ways you can do that in a circuit, whether it's hard clipping, soft clipping, symmetric clipping, asymmetric clipping, all the different factors that affect your sound. But the basic principle in all overdrive pedals is the same. It's boosting the signal to a point where it's more than the circuit will take, and you lose some of the signal, and you get the clipping effect. So whilst both compression and overdrive impose like a maximum volume on the signal, the compressor does it in a non-destructive way. Distortion or an overdrive does it in a destructive way. So let's take a look and a listen to some pedals. So for this, I'm going to be using, down on the board, I've got the Wampler Ego compressor and the JHS Boss Angry Driver. So this is in the, I'm going to be using it in the JHS Angry Charlie mode, so it's like a Marshall in a box type of sound. So this is the sound of the guitar just on its own, into the clean channel on the amp. And you can hear there, I've got plenty sort of dynamic range. Put on the compressor, yeah, so it fills the sound out a bit. Yeah, compression is a bit of a subtle effect, but you can hear something there. Yeah, so as I'm really digging in with the pick, it's not getting super loud. The compressor is kind of keeping a lid on the volume. Okay, let's take a listen to the overdrive pedal. So this is the guitar on its own. Yeah, so what's happening there, like I say, is the signal's getting boosted to the point where it clips and distorts. And because the overdrive pedal works on the principle of boosting the input signal, if there's a lower level input, we can control the overdrive a bit more and actually clean the sound up a little bit. So if I play something at full volume, picking quite hard, turn the volume down. So by adjusting the volume, yes, there is a little bit of a change in the actual loudness of the signal, but not perhaps as much as you might expect, because some of that, like that extra volume, is actually getting lost in the gain circuit, and it's pushing the signal beyond the threshold for clipping, and it just becomes distortion. So let's listen to those pedals in combination and think about how does this overdrive pedal react to a compressed or a non-compressed signal. So overdrive pedal on its own. Yeah, plenty picking dynamics there. Turn the compressor on. So I've got a different sound, I've got a slightly different voice. The compressor, I think, gives the guitar slightly fuller, fatter sort of sound, but it's at the expense of the picking dynamics. This particular compressor has a blend control. I've got that blend control turned up, so we're hearing just the compressed signal. There's no unaffected signal going through there, and I'm losing some of the picking dynamics. I normally wouldn't have a compressor set this extreme, this kind of set this way for the purposes of demonstration. But there are two distinct sounds there. We've got the sound of the overdrive pedal just on its own. And you can hear the difference when I stand on the compressor. We've got the sound of a compressed signal being distorted, so we can hear a distinct sound. We can hear the compressor working. We can hear the overdrive working as well. What happens if we swap these pedals over and we have the overdrive pedal coming first and then the compressor? Let's try that and hear how it sounds. Okay, we're back, but now we've got the overdrive pedal before the compressor. Now on their own, those effects are still doing their thing. So we've got the clean guitar, we've got the sound of the compressor, and we've got the sound of the overdrive pedal. But listen to what happens when we put that compressor into the chain after the overdrive. The effect of the compressor isn't as pronounced, is it, after the overdrive pedal? And there's a reason for that. If you think about what, as we were talking about at the start, about what happens in the overdrive pedal, is it takes the signal to a particular level and then clips it. So it's already applying a degree of compression. It's if you like, a destructive compression, because it's actually changing the waveform of the sound, if you like. But it is imposing a maximum volume when it clips the signal. So because that's restricting the dynamic range, and this is more pronounced with the higher gain that you go, because you've compressed the signal that much, when it goes into the compressor, you've already got a fairly limited dynamic range to work with. So depending on the voice of the compressor, it might do a little bit to the sound, but the compression effect is not as pronounced. So in terms of putting pedals in the right order, general guidance would be put your compressor before the overdrive, let the compressor do its thing to equalize out or whatever you wanted to do with your volumes, and then take that compressed signal into the overdrive pedal and let it distort it and shape the sound that way. If you're doing it the other way around, you've already done some compression in the overdrive pedal, so there's less for the compressor to work with. Now, as I said at the start, the rules of pedal order are more guidelines. There are cases where you may want to do things the other way around, and one really useful way of using a compressor after the overdrive is actually as a boost pedal. So if you think you're in a situation where you want to be able to give yourself just a volume boost for your solos, but you don't have a clean boost pedal, if you've got the compressor after the gain stage, what you can do is you can just increase the volume on the compressor. All compressors will have some sort of output volume. So I've left all the controls as they were. The only thing I've changed is the output level. So I've got a basic tone like this without the compressor. And then put the compressor on, and I just basically get a volume boost. So if you wanted something, so you've got a rhythm tone and then a bit extra volume for a solo, a compressor after the overdrive stage works quite well for that. So like I say, guidelines rather than rules, but generally speaking, if you want to get the most out of your compressor pedal as a compressor, put it before your gain stages and leave the overdrive pedals to do their stuff on the compressed signal. But like I say, it's just a guideline. Let your ears guide you. So there you go. Hopefully you found that useful and interesting. If you did, please click the like button down there. If you really enjoyed it and you want to see other videos that I post up on the channel, then please click the subscribe button, which is also down there somewhere, and click the bell icon so you get notified of any new videos that I upload onto the channel. You're welcome to leave a comment, but YouTube's not very good at notifying me when people leave comments. So if there's something specific you want to ask me, whether it's about guitar gear, guitar playing, music theory, anything at all, you're better off going here, fill that form in, and that way your question comes direct to me and I can get around to answering your question in a future video. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.